Crash Course on the Mexican-American War. The Mexican-American War was a military conflict that occurred between the United States and Mexico from 1846 to 1848. The war was fought over a variety of issues, including boundary disputes, economic and political differences, and a desire for territorial expansion. Background. In the early 1800s, the United States began to expand westward, acquiring land from France, Spain, and Russia. In 1845, the United States annexed the Republic of Texas, which had declared independence from Mexico in 1836. This move angered Mexico, which still considered Texas to be a part of its territory. In addition to the dispute over Texas, there were also conflicts over the border between Mexico and the United States. Mexico claimed that the border was at the Nueces River, while the United States claimed that it was at the Rio Grande. This dispute led to a series of skirmishes and tensions between the two nations. The war. The conflict between the United States and Mexico erupted into open warfare on April 25, 1846, when a group of American soldiers clashed with Mexican troops near the Rio Grande. President James K. Polk, who had been eager to acquire more land for the United States, quickly declared war on Mexico. The United States had a number of advantages in the war, including superior military technology and organization. However, the Mexican army was fighting on its own soil and had a strong sense of national pride, which fueled their resistance. The war was fought on several fronts, including in Texas, California, and New Mexico. The most famous battle of the war was the Battle of Chapultepec in Mexico City, where a small group of Mexican soldiers held off a much larger American force before finally being defeated. The end of the war. The war ended on February 2, 1848, with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Under the terms of the treaty, Mexico ceded a vast amount of territory to the United States, including California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, and Oklahoma. In exchange, the United States paid Mexico $15 million and assumed responsibility for any claims made by American citizens against Mexico. Interesting stories. One interesting story related to the Mexican-American War is the role that future Civil War generals played in the conflict. Both Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee served in the war, with Grant distinguishing himself as a brave and skilled soldier. Lee, on the other hand, struggled in the war and even suffered a serious injury that left him temporarily paralyzed. Another interesting story is the role that the United States' victory in the war played in the debate over slavery. The acquisition of so much new territory intensified the debate over whether or not to allow slavery in the new states. This eventually led to the Compromise of 1850, which attempted to balance the interests of slave and free states. One final interesting story is the impact that the war had on the Mexican people. The war led to a devastating loss of life and territory for Mexico, and many Mexicans saw the United States as a hostile and imperialistic power. This perception was reflected in the famous Mexican folk song, La Cucaracha, which tells the story of a cockroach who can no longer walk because he has lost one of his legs, a reference to Mexico's defeat in the war. In conclusion, the Mexican-American War was a significant conflict in American history, marked by boundary disputes, economic and political differences, and a desire for territorial expansion. The war had a lasting impact on both the United States and Mexico, shaping the course of history for both nations. Here is a poem on Mexican-American War. The War Between the States and Mexico. A conflict fueled by pride and territorial woe. The United States sought to expand their land, while Mexico fought to keep what they had at hand. The tension rose and skirmishes began, until the war broke out in full demand. The United States had the upper hand, with their military might and tactics so grand. The battles raged on, with many lives lost. On both sides, a heavy and tragic cost. The Americans marched on Mexico City. The Mexican resistance strong, but not enough to pity. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed, with the United States claiming land far and wide. California, Arizona, and so much more. Taken from Mexico, a bitter score. The war had an impact beyond the fray, fueling debates over slavery and the USA's way. The Mexican people suffered a devastating loss, and the memory of the conflict remained to cause. The Mexican-American War, a tale to tell, of conflict, power, and the thirst to excel. A significant event in history's reel. and a reminder of the cost of war's real ordeal. We hope this video has given you a taste of all the incredible experiences Canada has to offer. If you're ready to start planning your own adventure to Canada, please ensure to use our Booking.com referral link, https://www.booking.com/index.html?aid equals 7989335 to book your flights, hotels, car rentals, local attractions, and more. It's an easy and kind way to support this channel and make sure you get the best possible deals on your trip. Thank you. Hub Metaverse Team at Vancouver, Canada, CA.